do this, I'm gonna knit again a pattern for this little cute balaclava. In a second I'm gonna share more about the topic. Have you ever wondered what kind of presents you could get for your favorite knitter, friend or family member? Are you looking for a good knitting book recommendation yourself? Keep watching this video to learn top 5 book recommendations that are a great source of inspiration and reference for knitting. Stay tuned. So this balaclava is for little kids. I made one following a pattern that is not my own, so I don't think I can share more on that, but here is the outcome, and let's see how much we can knit together in 1 hour. First book I'd say every knitter should own is this Japanese Knitting Stitch Bible, 260 patterns. It's a great present or just tool for yourself that contains many patterns with pictures, as well as some project ideas. I just found it invaluable when designing my own knitting patterns, and it also holds all of the descriptions of the type of symbols used and in which patterns they've appeared. Like you see, I'm kind of working through it myself, and you know, some of the patterns don't have maybe the names of the stitches themselves, but they do have good explanations, and yeah, great pictures, great references of the finished look, and like I said, there's also even some patterns included to create the collar or the socks or anything else that got featured. So this is a great book, and not too expensive. It cost 14 quid. I thought it was well worth the investment. Another book on a similar sort of topic is The Knowledgeable Knitter by Margaret Radcliffe. I just found it very useful to use it as just a good coverage for all kinds of concepts in knitting. And in YouTube, sometimes I just don't know what to search for, or the terms of what I'm trying to solve. And more than once I found explanations, ideas, and distinctions in this book. And it's very visual, it's beautifully written, it's very clear, written by a very experienced knitter of 40 years or something like that. So I really highly recommend. And again, it's another one that wasn't too expensive, like £24 or dollars in this case, but similarly in pounds and euros. A great book. I was so happy I found it. Moving on to book number 3. Well, actually it's magazine, so number 3 and number 4 are actually by the same publisher, Kim Hargreaves. She creates really beautiful patterns that are almost look like they've been taken off from like some high-end press or high-end fashion, like run through or something, walk through. So I just find that she has a very nice variety in her patterns, and they all look very classy. Let's see, classy, fashionable, classic. Well, classic, I keep saying that, but and I find that her proportions and the pattern explanation is very to the point, with clear indications of what level knitter should be looking at this pattern, and with very clear diagrams and very visual, clear, minimal, as you can see, like very minimal sort of explanation as well, which means it's reused, and I just find it as a great reference. So these two are my favorite ones because she has way many more magazines published, but these ones cover a good variety of chunky, lacy, fingering weight, cable, brioche patterns. So I just found that it was really good coverage of all types of knitting. And like I said, all of them look just really fashionable and finished, and I just don't find too many magazines that have that good balance of like good taste, clear explanations, nicely visually, you know, put together. So I would say even 2 magazines, even though she has 12, but these 2 I thought that they were absolutely fantastic, and I used it for multiple projects now. The last one is not really a knitting book. It's called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. It started off as a conference to students that went viral, absolutely viral 10 years ago, and he published a book basically on the presentation that he gave. To the point, the title is a bit misleading. It makes it sound like a bit nasty or something, but the advice itself is incredible. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed these 5 book recommendations. Let me know what you think, or any recommendations that you have. You know, Balaclava that I'm knitting now is actually for a much smaller baby, a newborn, you could say. So I'm hoping that it might take less time to knit it. And another thing I'm hoping to is just practice a little bit more the construction, because this pattern that I'm using, I'm gonna link them below, is actually quite nicely constructed. They created beautiful round and square shapes in the balaclava. So I'm very keen to understand all the construction nuances. So while I'm knitting this little balaclava hat for my niece, I'm also taking the advantage of learning more about construction of all kinds of objects other than just, you know, sweaters, which I've done a few now, but I would like to know and learn how to construct things, you know, all kinds of purposes. So this is, even though it feels like I'm repeating the same pattern, just in a slightly different size or color, I'm still quite happy because this construction is, you know, by Knitting for Olive. The pattern is just incredible, so I highly recommend them. There's quite a few other knitters that are, you know, doing highly constructed pieces, and seamless knitting as well. I find seamless knitting just like pure magic, using different types of stitches to achieve leaning left or leaning right, and then eventually increasing, decreasing strategically, so to create robust shapes. I find that quite amazing. I hope you're enjoying learning that, or yourself in your knitting. You know, please share maybe what you're learning currently at the moment, or what you find as a knitter that you need to brush up on or not overlook. You know, as shared in this video, top 5 recommended books. You know, a few of those books are about improving construction techniques, other knitting techniques, or just getting more inspiration to embark on new creative projects. So I hope you enjoyed the book recommendations as well. Let me know if you have any good books like I shared before, and yeah, let me know what you think about this knit along, if it's fun to, you know, knit along and listen to some kind of topic in the background for you. Are you kind of that sort of knitter yourself who enjoys that, or you'd rather listen to TV? Maybe you can also share what kinds of topics you're interested in to listen to. I will, you know, do the homework and prepare something for next knitting session. And as per usual, try to stick to 1 hour window, so we knit as much as we can in that 1 hour, chat through some interesting topics, see progress, chill out. I think it's a great combination. I enjoy knitting for that reason, because it just offers that unique combination of being productive while very relaxed, also doing something super tactile. I think something super tactile that is getting a bit more and more rare these days. I don't know, everything's digital, and it's mostly in the mind now as well. Like, our minds are working out pretty heavily, whereas our bodies and hands or bodies are not working out as much. And I find that it creates this weird balance of having a mind that is overheating and having a body that's cooling, overcooled, like too cool. Okay, let me see if I can record a new video. Okay, so I'm trying different formats for knitting, and I'm trying to introduce talking heads in the corner of the video as you're watching the main section, which is just the knitting itself, or close-up of the knitting itself. Okay, so let's just see what the pattern requires. So just repeat 5 and 6 2 more times, and then 2 more times. Okay. And then we do before double. Okay, so before. I'll repeat it one more time. I'll just go against the pattern. It just doesn't feel like. Turning work, picking up the stitch. That's what happens when chatting and trying to follow a pattern. I either lose the topic or I lose what the pattern requires. So alright, going on. So that balance of knitting, using your mind, using the mind to stay focused and work on something that's maybe a little bit challenging. Like patterns, I think can be quite challenging. I often joke that knitters are actually programmers, and they could be good software programmers. I'm a software programmer myself, so I find knitting and following patterns, quite intense and for the mind, because you have to stay focused and you have to understand the patterns. I also find that it's quite tactile, so your hands are working and creating these, well, hopefully beautiful patterns, or just consistent tension patterns as well. It doesn't help with the body, staying seated or staying sort of frozen, or I do sometimes feel even getting like stiff neck from knitting. Like, let me know how you feel when you're knitting. Maybe the focus produces some tension to you too as well. And I'm gonna just lose those because I understand the double stitches as being my marker. So okay, now I'm not seeing any. So what I do like to do as well is I to work out before I sit down knitting, go for a long walk or go to gym, or just do a workout at home. I mean, these days, and there's so many videos and so many facilities as well. You can buy a few pieces of equipment and there's almost like no excuse to not work out, so that you can enjoy all the other more stationary sedentary lifestyle moments, I guess. So that's what I try to do as well, keep the balance going. Okay, so we're just gonna take this off. German short rows asked to move over the yarn and then continue knitting. So now we're gonna carry on with 7 or 8 repetitions of 2 stitches, and stopping 2 stitches before double stitch. Okay. These colors come out a bit different on the screen, but not too dissimilar, I guess. But yeah, let me know, what do you find? How do you keep your balance when you're knitting? What is inspiring you to knit, or what is motivating you? How do you keep the balance between sedentary or many hours of sitting? If maybe your work is also seated. So how do you keep the balance, or do you care? Is it important to you? Just share your thoughts. I'm gonna read everything anyway. Kind of, that's why I'm using this channel. I just want community participation and bouncing off of each other. I like creating a bit of a buzz as well in that way. So now we just need to be mindful of the 2 stitches. So actually 2 stitches were there, and now we just need to stop 2. I'm gonna start to use markers because the pattern asks to stop 2 stitches before the double stitch. So in order to comply, I'm gonna do that, add a marker, and I'm gonna start marking the repetitions. So did that, did 1. Keeping track using post-it notes. Certainly my mind doesn't keep track of numbers itself very well. So we've been knitting for 20 minutes now, and there's quite a few the short rows done. I think it's sort of similar to where we stopped in the video before. There's one more knit along balaclava video here already. I'll add the link here. The only problem with that is I feel like I'm gonna stop at a similar place. But with this one, I'll try and knit the entire thing on video so you can join along. Like I said, I'm not gonna share the pattern because you just have to buy it, and I'm not being super thorough saying what I'm doing exactly, or how many rows, or how many anything. So I don't think you'd be able to completely follow along and to just knit the same thing without having the pattern and knowing who exactly you're knitting for, because I'm knitting for one age child, and you might choose a different age child. So my bet is that knitting is gonna grow into a bigger trend, bigger thing. I think I've been feeling like that because of how last 3 years went. I feel like there's more uncertainty, more stoppers, or at times, and maybe stress, and people need an outlet that's soothing, calm, slow living, and knitting ticks a lot of the boxes, other than also just becoming knitted fashion becoming more popular. I think I just see all the style guides, and there's a lot of all kinds of almost art pieces, art knitwear, chunky or something art. The topic is topic wise it's not the seamless sort of smallest eyelets, smallest stitch knits anymore. I think the fashion itself is almost like trying to copy the handmade knitwear feel and look. So there's one really cool website that I love, my friend shared. It's called the Knotty ones. I see the link below and as well as here on video, and they are great because they employ local knitters, like local, granny knitters. Not all of them are granny, but local knitters who could hand make all of their pieces. So okay, let's just not forget to mark it. I think I did 2 and I didn't mark it, so I'm just gonna try to keep. You know what, also another thing about these patterns and tracking, I'm not very stressed if one row is not 100% correct, or I missed one, or I made one extra, because what I found, at least I've knitted maybe 7 or 8, 9 sweaters maybe last year alone, and what I found is that these patterns, they're great, but based on your gauge, like your own knitting stretch and looseness, it's gonna come out different. Like, it's not gonna be 100% like the pattern is, especially with me. Like, I have quite a loose knitting gauge, it turns out, and sometimes I would knit with smaller needle and smaller size, and my knitwear would come out the same as their larger versions. And I was like, wow, like, I mean, okay, so one reverse again. So and you know what, another thing is not stressing about it too much. Also, like, just getting more confidence in, like, well, if something goes wrong, I'll fix it. If I can undo 1 or 2 rows, I can confidently, fix some mistakes, like catch the stitches, or those that one of the books that were recommended in this video. If you want to scroll back and rewatch it, is gives you instructions like on how to fix mistakes and so on. So how to undo a certain part without unraveling an entire piece of work. I don't know. So, and sometimes, like, I'm able to amend the pattern a little bit. Like, for example, I noticed that I like a smaller, like, slightly tighter fit, but then I don't want to lose the looseness around the armpits, let's say. And I was able to follow, smaller size knitting guiding pattern, but then to mark it again. But then create extra increases around just the armpits, and it turned out the pattern came out. I'll add a photo of what pattern I worked for. I made a few changes, like first of all, one change was to the pattern that I wanted to have deeper, wider armpits. So I did that, and then it was great. The collars were narrower, which I found made the collars look petite and narrow, and the sleeves look very puffy, but without adding the width to the frame, like without making the shoulders look super wide and bulky, and the sleeves sat just very nicely sort of closer to the collarbones. I loved that. I love that top. It looks petite, even though it's puffy. So I made that change, and it turned out to be better, like much better than I thought that it might come out. So that was one change. Another change I introduced was, instead of 1x1 rib, I did 2x2 rib, and I found it so cute. Like even here, the pattern I changed into 2x2 rib as well. I just love 2x2 ribs. Like they create that like almost like seamless bleed into the rest of the bodice. Sorry, and I like that. So I changed in that pattern for the puffy t-shirt, I added the 2x2 rib, which I loved, and I like how it bleeds into the rest of it. And the third thing I changed in the pattern was to add, which wasn't too difficult actually, is to add a cable work. So cable work in the middle and at the front, and in the middle at the back. So the cable just ran across the entire, basically front and back, which I liked that detail. I looked at Pinterest. I barely found it actually. I found maybe on Etsy somewhere, but I just really liked the look. And yeah, I was basically changed the pattern a little bit, and knew that my gauge is in a way looser, so I don't know, you just, after a while, you get to know your own pattern, your own patterns and styles and knitting approaches. So maybe you start amending it, and I think perhaps it's the way forward to starting to create your own patterns, which I've started doing not too long ago. But I started creating my own patterns and publishing. So you can see in the comments, I'll leave a link to my own baklava, which I made for myself as a grown-up, because I really liked the look of the hood balaclava rather than face frame balaclava, which I find is cool, like with these kids. But I just also and the one I made, the pattern I made for myself and others, well, I published it. Just see the link on Etsy, it's added below. Looked so good on myself, and the brioche pattern and the construction wasn't too difficult. I just found it. I think it's the way to starting to build your own library of preferences and style, and move towards publishing, I guess. Okay, I need to mark. I don't know. It doesn't look like there's a lot of space to. There's a lot of space to be increasing anymore, if I'm completely honest. So, okay. So this is shaping the crown. But yeah, find those below. Check it out. Share if what do you do? Are you quite big on customizing patterns, or amending, or even, well, I guess fixing some of the mistakes in the patterns, or are you sort of most comfortable with being led in the pattern, when following a pattern? Doesn't look like. So have I made a mistake, or is this how it's supposed to be? Starting to knit again. So I'm experimenting with the format for these knitting videos. So far, my conclusion is that it's good to show real-time knitting because it gives quite a good idea of what is achievable in 1 hour, and also it creates that slow speed, slow living. So we're not seeing just sped up videos of wow, this took no effort, no time videos that give you
satisfaction, but also false expectation. And then when you sit down yourself to knit, you think, oh, I'm a slow knitter. Like, I'm feeling like a slow knitter, to be honest, but a lot of people said that I'm apparently a fast knitter, because there's a lot of the projects that I start, they get finished quite soon. But to me, it doesn't feel like I'm fast knitting at all. I feel like a slow person. So I thought, if I just record 1 hour worth of knitting, then it will give a realistic picture as well, like of what's achievable. Even though apparently I'm a fast knitter, but I don't know. Am I a fast knitter or a slow knitter? Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. Someone else knows. So that's one. And then other idea that for this format was perhaps it's nice to show the knitter behind as well, like, even though I keep forgetting. I think the main view is of course the knitting itself, but the knitter behind is also interesting, and that's just a given. Like every video we watch, I guess we get hooked to just the personality and the person behind. And not that I have a huge personality, but I think it's another interesting dimension to add, like the knitter behind. So I'm adding this little video of myself, mostly looking not great and not posing and showing all of my chins. I think especially the second chin is like quite trying to say hello all the time in these videos. So that's two. The third thing I thought is it would be interesting, and it's interesting to include some sort of like high value material or topic. So maybe with a bit of dedicated visuals and so on, like I tried to do. This head looks quite huge at the moment. I'm also seeing a bit of a problem. The crown is here. So the crown is here, but I made the neck to be here. Crown is here, but the neck is made to be here. Oh no. Okay, so maybe I said a lot about making mistakes in this video, and maybe I said too many things about that, because it looks like I made a few mistakes. But let's see, what could we do? I think it's not too... I might just unravel, just because I felt the crown extended a bit much, and I am knitting something for a small girl, so I did feel the crown went too tall. And now that I got also the neck not in the correct place to what I need to, obviously, I think it's worth unraveling at least to the few rows that are knitted. It will make the crown slightly shorter too, because that's where the ears will go. The ears will go here. So I will unravel now, and maybe we can actually do it together. Wow, there you go. We can do this together. It's a bit of an annoying one. I mean, who loves unraveling their work? But you know what? I've done that. I've unraveled my work quite a few times. Like, I'll just show one sweater that I've knitted recently. So I've knitted this sweater. Like, it's quite huge. And when I started knitting it first time around, I knitted the whole collar and quite a bit of the body. And I unraveled all of it, because there was some quite huge problems actually. And as I was learning new pattern and yoke construction, I was like, it's not worth risking. Okay, so let's unravel this. So there's a few ways to do it. I'll probably just take out the needles, which is, you know, not the most pleasant feeling. I'll just take the needles out, and I will, because we have this and there's gonna be one row, you know, this is gonna remain, and we can even catch one of this with the pencil. So, okay, I will prepare for operation. Operation don't unravel all of it. Okay, so what I can do, I think, is just go back. Okay, so it's gonna be like some short row or something. And I think, yes, that's what I wanted. So I want to reduce the crown. So now I think I can do a few more. Okay, just gonna go back. Alright. So now I'm gonna just try and catch without pulling, so it kind of has to remain quite still. Catch the eyelets. And what I don't care about is I don't care about which direction I'm catching them. So when I will knit the next row, I will knit from the side of the stitch to make sure they're all straightened. But the fact that I don't care about how I catch the stitch makes it more easy to thread the needle, because I'm just threading it through the way it appears without pulling. Because if you start pulling or trying to twist it or shape it, you might catch, you know, slip it out from the next row, and I think that's the most annoying thing. Like, if it slips out, you have to somehow thread it through. It starts pulling other rows. But if you go through it like trying to disturb it as least as possible, it's usually okay. So I see that there's like some double stitch here. Okay. Alright. And you know what? I could even, because I'm gonna need the neck, this is the crown, and this is going to be the neck, I'm gonna do another thing. I am going to bring in a stitch holder immediately. So I see that this is the crown. This is the crown. So these will be the neck, the stitches I need to place on the neck holder, basically. So it is a bit of an operation. I think it's fair. It's quite a bit of an operation, but it's so worth it. Like, I used to avoid unraveling, but now I don't see it as a problem at all. I've like I said, I've unraveled whole sweaters, and not entire sweater, but like the almost entire egg yolk, almost before splitting for sleeves. And I don't know, there's like a level of acceptance as well with it, and Here it literally were just maybe 5 short rows and 1 full round, so it's not even a lot. I would recreate it quite quickly. But like I said, I just held some concern like for how long the crown was turning, and anyways, so just carefully. Yep. I'm hoping, okay, so maybe, so the crown is there. Maybe I can do like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Neck stitches are all on holder now. The remaining stitches leading up to neck holder are not yet on. Okay, so I'm just pressing it down, or like pressing on it, pressing on the stitches so they don't escape. There's a few that are very close to escaping, but not a lot. So anyway, so now I placed neck stitches on holder, so 2 birds, 1 stone a bit as well. And then I only have this section now to catch properly. So I hope this is somewhat interesting. I think it's much more fun to watch the knitting, of course, but maybe it's encouraging as well to see that mistakes are okay, and actually you can fix it, it's fine. Like you could fix it perfectly as well, or if it's not perfect, you'll address that later as well. So it all gets the required attention, the attention that is required at the moment, you know, like wabi sabi. Wabi sabi is about embracing the mistakes. And that's what happened to me here, embracing the mistakes. Okay, so all of the stitches now are back on. Nice. Now let's see what's the situation, because sometimes I go into a bit of a haze. Oh, nice, we ended up where we needed to. I created a bit now, almost like the double thread that I was using. It's now almost like I'm gonna just roll it into a small ball of yarn so it doesn't get tangly. Cool, I think I'm quite close to having this situation repaired. Okay, stitch shoulders, I probably don't need them because I have these little things. Okay, I'm gonna use stitch stoppers. I love these little gadgets. One is very tight. Okay. And I got this very small loop recently. Getting ready to knit maybe a socks, and I see that it can be used also as small section stitch holder, which when I knitted the larger balaclava, the larger size, I used very long stitch holders, and it got really tangly at some point because there were like 3 stitch holders and 3 stitch holders, and then yeah, it got quite busy. But now I think this is going to be quite appropriate, and it lines up with the crown of the head nicely. So yeah, so I don't know what happened there. I think I just went to a bit of a chat haze. Maybe I'll embrace the silence in the future for some strategic points. Okay. All right. Resumed. That's it. We fixed it. Look at it. It's even better because the crown is looking appropriate size. I am digging the crown now. The neck is obviously in the correct place now, and it's on a stitch holder. It's already placed on a very cute small stitch holder. So that's sorted. I have a very clear kind of small piece of fabric to work with. I think it's gonna come along together quickly, to be honest. And like I said, now I'm doing the round, but what I'm trying to be mindful of is to take the stitches, untwist the stitches, because some of them I managed to thread on the needle from one side, and others I threaded on from, knitwise or purlwise, whatever. So I'm now gonna straighten it all, and with this round of knit till the end of round, and with the next round of purling. I'm gonna just admit that I am better with untwisting knit stitches rather than purl stitches, but I'm hoping that it will also be very obvious. There were a few odd ones here, so those are all now taken care of. Nice, look at it. Oh, it's gonna come together nicely. Look, this is going to be the body, this is going to be the neck. Okay, so just quickly doing one more round, and I think the video is almost reaching 1 hour mark. So it didn't go as far as it could have, because I could have spent that energy knitting further rather than knitting and then undoing it and then taking a long time to fix it. But I have a feeling that the next 1 hour video will see some serious progress, and I hope you enjoyed it. And all the questions that I asked, I'm genuinely interested to hear what you have to share. I hope you can let me know what you'd like to see more of, or again, like I said, the format of these videos, just contribute to what you think could work here. So yeah, let's see how it goes. Gonna just power through this. As usual, follow me on Instagram and other places where I think you can share your work and links more comfortably. So just message me on Instagram. The links are below. You can also tag, of course, Polyknits. If for some reason, I think in the future, certainly if you're buying my balaclava pattern on Etsy and you tried it, for sure tag me. I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see, and message me or follow me, I'll follow back, and so on. So, you know, it's raining outside, but it doesn't have to be raining inside, right? So, I'm kind of done with this pearl row. Like I said, I'm having a feeling that I don't know exactly how to purl correctly when it comes to untwisting. So there might be some few odd stitches that look a little bit odd, you know, in the network, and like, you know, Noah's Ark, you'll see some evidence of like historical layers, like looking, you know, here and there. And yeah, I'm frankly, I'm not like such a perfect knitter, like a perfectionist, that I would not want to see even one stitch wrong. Like I've seen people unravel work just for one stitch. So I'm not like that, but also, you know, I guess it just depends what the work is. If someone's knitting stockinette stitch only, then they might as well look quite perfect. Oh, you know what? I'm kind of tired. I hope you're whatever you're doing, you're having a lot of energy. So. I said I would put it together in a little ball to avoid knots, but somehow it managed to create a knot. You see, the same techniques don't work for every instance. In this case, it's fine, but it didn't work as perfectly as I thought. Okay, we're very nearly there. As I finish this row, I think we'll call it a day for this one.